gonna do? And you know what? And then it finally,
precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn through the storm, through the night. Lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me on home. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand, Lord, and bless our soul. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me when the darkness appears and the night draws near and the day has passed and gone.
Hello there, this is Leon E. Chief Frazier, and I want to talk to you for a minute or two, that is, about police brutality. But I'm going to flavor this discussion with a dose of civic responsibility, because dealing with society and dealing with security and dealing with safety, dealing with constitutional rights, there is no cherry picking that you can do. Whereas if you see something you don't like, you pick out the parts that you like, then you pick out the parts you don't like, and then you blow up those things that you like, and you play down those things you don't like. Well, let me tell you something. Having been in law enforcement for more than 30 years, I'm going to tell you, law enforcement is not an easy business. Now, we can go to war with words, and we can say, yeah, but the police department was started back when they wanted somebody to go and round up slaves and bring them back, dead or alive. Well, that's true. That's true. And back then, blacks probably didn't have a chance, not even a prayer, of being involved in the decision making and policies of whatever those slave catchers' chores were, or duties were. Well, somebody came up with the thought in 1838 about formalizing police. And those people were in Boston, Massachusetts. They formed the first police department in Boston in 1838. Now, I bring up that date because I just simply want to lay what I'm going to say on that foundation, to say that police have been here since then, and they're going to be here forever. So nothing that we say and nothing that we do, be ye black, white, or yellow, or red, will change that. Now, there was a guy named Sir Robert Peel. He was in England. And he had some notions about what policing ought to be. And he laid out a bunch of policies, 9 principles. I'm not going to bring them to you today, but I'll bring them to you in the very near future. These 9 principles pointed out exactly what police officers were supposed to mean to a community, and what a community is supposed to mean to those police officers. Now, bottom line. The bottom line is, when law enforcement is working right, when the police is functioning properly, the police are the people, and the people are the police. Now let's break that down in common terms, okay? I can be the police officer for 30 years all I want to. If I don't instill some trust and confidence in the environment in which I have to perform, and if the people do not accept me as a viable force and a trustworthy organization, I'm going to be totally ineffective. Totally ineffective. How is that? Former chief of police. Well, here's the way. Say a murder happened. And let's say 6 people standing out in the front yard. and see exactly what it. Well, let me take you to one of my jurisdictions. I was police chief at Central State University. A drive-by shooting happened in broad daylight. However, it was wintertime, snow on the ground, and all kind of slush. And these guys came through. They started shooting. Students scattered. One guy dead. One of the shooters sitting out on top of the car, tat, 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 with a TAC-9. And everybody saw him, but very few people saw the guy in the car, or the other guys in the car. So, by the time we got there, the police, all the evidence is trampled in the slush, snow. Basically the scene destroyed. One man down. We got to rescue him, further messing up the scene. Scene cleared. Controversy about who was going to investigate cleared because the Greene County Sheriff had been accustomed to coming on campus and investigating everything. But the new Chief Leon Frazier said that no, that won't happen anymore. When crimes happen here, it will be investigated here. And that created an uproar, but that was our responsibility. And plus the fact I knew that we could investigate the students in a way that would be fair to them. And I didn't want any more second guessing about whether an investigation was fair or not. So we clear up the scene. Everything's cleared away. What did you see? What did you see? What did you see? Every student we talked to saw something differently. But just a couple of them saw this one guy that was pretty famous sitting on top of the car, shooting across the top of the car. Tat, 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 tat. Only lead we had. Now, in a situation like that, a murder like that may not ever be solved because we could go get that one guy that they identified. He could lawyer up and not say nothing, and we would be in the exact spot that we were from the beginning. But now, about 2 months before that, a young man who had excellent potential was selling poison on our campus. I put my undercover officer on him. My undercover officer nailed him real tight. Nailed him to the wall. Good evidence. Young man's a senior, getting ready to graduate come spring. I'm chief of police. I can take him to the prosecutor. I could have gotten him prosecuted. Evidence taken to the Greene County, Ohio prosecutor. Greene County, Ohio prosecution means for a young, intelligent black man who's a senior about ready to go out the door, many, many, many moons in the jailhouse. So how do you rectify this situation? How do you police this situation? What do you need to care about in this situation? You need to care about everybody. You need to care about the man who got shot, that I'll go back to in a minute. You need to care about the guy who shot him, because he has a family too. You have to care about the man selling poison to our children, because he's been misled somewhere. Probably never had anybody to challenge him in the right way. You got to care about all of the beautiful children who's being sent to that university campus. who's being encouraged to try this and try that and drop that pill, drop that pill. You got to care about everybody. So I was looking at the evidence involving this young man. And I told my investigator, come on, go with me. So we went to the auditorium. Convocation was just over. Big time campus drug guy, styling with his boy down by the stage. I'm in uniform. Undercover is in plain clothes. I walked into the auditorium, called him out by name, pointed at him, and told him to come to me. Oh, he was ready to style. Hey, man, what? I said, hold up just a minute. And his boys now are swarming because they want to give him reinforcement. They want to check out what this police chief going to say to their boy. So I put his business in the street. Mr. Steele. Yeah. I am Chief Leon Frazier. Right now I have enough evidence to put you in jail for many, many, many moons by simply taking my evidence, confiscated, or investigated by my investigator. So now I tell you what. You shall never ever, for the rest of the time that you are on this campus, ever give, sell, pass, accept, or anything else, any narcotics on this campus. And when you graduate this spring, you shall never ever come onto this campus again and involve yourself in any kind of drug trafficking, usage, or whatever. Do you understand? My man, he was trying to find a hole to go into in that concrete floor, but there was nowhere for him to go. And he was trying to muster up the ignorance to challenge me, but I laid out evidence to let him know that I knew exactly who he was and what he was doing and how he was doing it and when he did it. So, since emotions are controlled from the inside, he made a good decision to control his emotions that day. Because you know what my plan was? As a black police chief on a black campus, dealing with a young black intelligent man, my plan was, if he acted any way stupid, or if he did anything out of order, he would be arrested on the spot and taken to the Greene County Jail in Ohio. Held there until the prosecutor could formulate charges for drug trafficking. However, and I want you to listen to me, young people, because law enforcement people have options. They have discretion. They can deal with you this way, that put the screws to you, or they can deal with you this way, that can simply warn you that what you are saying and doing is inappropriate and you ought to take a look at yourself. But back to the story. God was in the plan that day because young brother Steele When I asked him, did he understand? He said, yes, sir. And I turned and left him standing there, with all of his boys and their mouths dropped wide open, because they were in states of disbelief that a law enforcement officer had confronted one of their own that way, bending over backwards to save him from himself and the system. And my undercover and I left. Well, getting back to the shooting, to show you how police officers and what Sir Robert Peel talked about in England when he started the police department on the right track with the 9 principles that said when it's operating, the people are the police and the police are the people. A couple of days after that shooting, I got a call from none other than Steele. And Steele said, Chief, have you determined who did the drive-by shooting on campus yet? I say, no, sir, I have not. He said, well, I tell you what, man. The way that you treated me the other day, and the way that you looked out for me for the rest of my life, he said, that was with those shooters shortly after it happened. And I can't give you all the other details, but he broke it right on down to be able to share with me if I wanted to, but only if. Now listen to this community police relationship now. Only if I could assure him that I would never reveal, to go to court and to show up in any evidential process. And if I could assure him of that, that he would set a meeting for me to talk to that person. Well, I assured him of that. I gave him my confidence, my word of honor. He set the meeting. This individual was able to break the whole situation wide open for me. That evidence resulted in a search warrant down in Xenia, Ohio. That search warrant revealed information about some stuff that had happened up in Indiana. And in 9 days, we had everybody in that car that was involved in the drive-by identified. In 35 days, we had all of the suspects identified, 4 or 5, I can't remember exactly at this time, in Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. And in 101 days, we had all of them in the penitentiary that needed to go, with one turning as stated evidence. So now what is that woofing tweet about? What is that story about that I just told you? It's about when you have a police department, it is supposed to be a part of the community, not apart from it. And when you have a community, you are supposed to be a part of the police department, not apart from it. Because you can't operate separately. You can't operate with the police officer stereotyping every black man that he sees as a thug or a suspect. You can't operate with the community stereotyping every police officer he or she see as thug or rotten or corrupt. Because when you do that, every time you do that, you narrow your possibility of functioning as a wholesome, safe and secure community in society. Now, you know, most people find police officers to be good conversation pieces. Just let anybody say something bad about a police officer, boom, 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 you got 3 or 4 people ready to jump on and tell their story. But you know what? Take the police away and see Chicago and Philadelphia and New York in every community in this society. So what's the solution? Or what's the worth of this commentary? We need to come to grips with ourselves. We are an immoral society. We lie too easy. We cheat too easy. We gossip too easy. We stereotype too easy. And this combination of negatives make our whole environment unsafe and insecure. We don't hold ourselves responsible. But yet we want to point at the police and we want to point at a judge and we want to point at a correction officer and try to make them perfect. Why do you think they ought to be perfect? Because they're trained. You can't train all of the ignorance, arrogance, hatefulness, evilness out of a human being. You can train them 24 hours a day. And if those things are deeply entrenched in their system, their psyche, they're going to be what they are. So what do you hope for when you look at a police department? Well, I heard the president tell another one of his tales when he said that 99.9% of the police officers were good, respectable people. Not true. Not true. 99.9% of the preachers in this society don't fit that description. You can see that from the Catholic Church. You certainly can't say that 99.9% of the Catholic priests are above board, because the evidence is out here. So that's too much to even expect. Police officers are recruited from among you. They're your cousins, your uncles, your brothers, your friends. Sure, they go to the academy. Much of that training, though, is about survival. Because the streets of America are some tough places to police. They always have been, and they always will be. So you might as well just come to grips with that. And I tell you what, you can produce a perfect police department when you, the citizens of America, becomes perfect. And there's no 99.9% of us who's perfect. Like I say, we lie, we cheat, we condone violence. We can know that somebody in our family broke into the neighbor's home, stole their property. And when the police come, we will lie to the police in many, many cases, too many cases, and say, no, I don't know anything. Even if your relative is accused. No, I know him. He wouldn't do that. We are imperfect people. We will lie. We will cheat. And we will harm people.
If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word or song, if I can show somebody that he's traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Yes, my living shall not be in vain. If I could help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in vain. Oh, if I can do my duty as a Christian, oh, if I can bring that beauty in a world abroad, if I could share love's message that the Master taught, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain.
So exactly what is it that the old man is preaching about? Okay, here's what I'm preaching about. I've told you that police officers have discretion. I've told you many times, and I'll repeat again, that to fight with the police in the street is a no-win situation for you. And with cameras being what they are today, they are no-win situations for the police too. Because whenever they stoop to the point that they will abuse and misuse somebody too many times, like the Frazier did up in Minneapolis, that camera is on them and it captures what they are doing. It captures how they are doing it. And then everybody can jump to the conclusions about why they are doing it. So now I want to encourage you. Do not fight with the police in the street. Do not fight with the police in the street. Because you are certain to lose. You are certain to lose. Even if you win $1 million 4 years later in a civil lawsuit, you're going to lose that fight in the street. And you may even lose your life. So now I'm just telling you, it does not make any sense at all for us to get emotionally crazy. If a police officer catch you stealing something in a store, you know whether you were stealing it or not. If you are stealing it, you are to submit. You don't have to speak. You don't have to incriminate yourself. But you put your hands out. Put them behind your back. And let some handcuffs be put on you while you are being detained or arrested and taken to jail. This old stuff about, you can't do this to me and don't touch me. You see, that does not make sense. And let me tell you why it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because you got all kind of police officers. Just like citizens, you got all kind of police officers. Some police officers weigh 120 pounds soaking wet. Other police officers are 57, 60, 65 years old, still on the force. These people don't have time to wrestle with you. These guys are not going to engage in an argument with you that could start a fight that they know that they may very well either lose the fight or they have to do some damage to you to disable you. And so now you've got to come to grips, young people. I don't care how drunk you are. I don't care how crazy you are. I don't care how legally, mentally ill you are. I don't care how much you have done, but you just don't want to go back to jail again, and what your determination is about getting away. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to pay you to fight with that 120-pound police officer. It's not going to pay you to fight with that plus 60-year-old officer. It's not going to pay for you to fight with any police officer because they are everlasting. All they got to do is hit the emergency button on their radio to let the dispatcher know that they're in trouble. And police officers come from all around. And when the police officers who's approaching, who don't know exactly what's going on, and especially if you got a bunch of crazy people standing around hollering and screaming and cussing and threatening, the officers who respond to the assistance of the one who pushed the emergency button, they're not going to be asking any questions, trying to get no explanations. They're going to come into the scene to put a stop to the mess. And if you are standing up there creating the mess, you're going to be included in that stop. Come on, people. Come on, people now. This is not the time for citizens to be crazy. Citizens to be all emotional. Citizens to be threatening and thinking that the police are supposed to be some mild-mannered, well-trained, Boy Scout type beings. It just does not work that way. Let me wind this up with this. Police officers have emotions just like you have emotions. Police officers have bad days just like you have bad days. Police officers get sick just like you do. Police officers have injuries to their extremities and their bodies just like you do. And sure, a police officer may be on duty, on patrol. But that police officer could also have a hurt wrist or an injured arm or a wrenched knee. Police officer ain't about to be trying to wrestle with you. Police officer's not about to be trying to negotiate with you in no criminal situation on a dark street with a crowd of people around, hollering, screaming, and threatening, possibly throwing things at them. This is a time that all of us must come to grips. I'll end up where I started out, realizing that this is an imperfect society. The police officers are but a recruitment process from society. Police officers bring to the department the same thing that they had in the community. Can it all be trained out? Just like I said earlier, no. Can some of it be trained out? Yes. Is there enough training to get all of the prejudices and all of the hatred, all of the racism trained out of an individual, so he or she now stands as a pure body, perfect demeanor, whereby you can spit on them, curse at them, threaten them, surround them, throw things at them, and they're supposed to take it just because they were trained? No, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So since I know that it's not going to happen, and since I'm taking the time to try and make an appeal to you to understand that it's not going to happen, well then I'm praying and begging you to consider the fact that I may be right and that you ought to control your emotions. You see, emotions are not controlled by the police officer who's trying to put handcuffs on you. Your emotions are controlled by you. Resistance to being arrested is not precipitated by the officer who's trying to arrest you. Resistance begins with you. If I'm told you're under arrest, there's no such thing as unarrest. And if I'm told to turn around and put my hands behind my back after I have been told that I'm under arrest, well then I don't care how bad I am, I don't care how big I am, I don't care how tough I think I am, I don't care how innocent I think I am. The thing for me to do, once I'm announced under arrest, is to turn around and put my hands behind me so that handcuffs can be applied. Now, if you have an argument, if you have a defense, if you have an excuse, all you got to do, not incriminate yourself, zip your lip, go on to where you're going to be taken, the police department. Wait until you can contact your attorney, either by phone or your parents or in person. Share with them the circumstances from your perspective, and then at that point, you all put up a fight. But don't put up a fight in the street with the police. You're going to lose. You're going to lose something from scars and bruises to your body to perhaps your life. Now, let me clear this up, because I know somebody's going to just wait for me to stop talking so they can say, well, sometimes you don't have to be doing anything to the police, and they will brutalize you anyhow. Well, that's true. That's because you got police officers just like you have citizens that are good, bad, or ugly. You may be able to slap a good police officer, and a good police officer may stand back off of you and say, look, now don't you do that anymore. You do that again, and you'll be sorry. A bad police officer who mix it all up, you reach up to smack that police officer, he may block you and knock the heck out of you. And he may label that self-defense. And an ugly police officer, you better not even think it hard enough. You better not even stare at that ugly police officer like you're going to do something to him or her before you get your chance. They will do it to you. Will they get suspended? Maybe. Maybe will they get charged? Maybe. Will they get fired? Maybe. But they couldn't care less. They're defending themselves. And they're anticipating your next move. And before you get a chance to make it, they make it on you. Let me tell you something else about a bad police officer. Not only that, but once you get subdued, once you get handcuffed, the handcuffs are put on you too tight. You know, there's a policy to say that you put the handcuffs on, you're supposed to leave a finger space between them. And then you're supposed to take your key, a little point on the key, and you're supposed to lock the handcuffs so they can't squeeze up in it tight. And then they handcuff you behind too tight. Then they set you in a cruiser. And then they drive downtown all rough, shaking you all around and bumping your wrists. And handcuffs are tightening up on you even more. And by the time you get downtown to the police station, your blood circulation is cut off. You now have struck a new consciousness and trying to make a appeal to the officer. Mr. Officer, these cuffs are too tight. So what? You tighten them up. I didn't tighten them up. So who is the pain on? The pain is on you. It just does not make sense to be emotional, too emotional, silly, stupid, or aggressive with law enforcement officers. It just doesn't pay. Tell you something else about that bad police officer. Get you downtown, you did 3 things. They charge you with 6. Go to the law book and squeeze every little element out of every law that even in any way relates to something that you may have done. And charge you with all 6. Now, instead of your bond being $500 so you can get out, your bond is now $5,000. It doesn't pay to mess with bad police officers. It doesn't pay to mess with any police officer. By messing with, I mean getting stupid, getting crazy, getting silly, getting anything, aggressive. Because you're going to lose. You're going to lose. How do I know? Because I was there for 30 years. I saw the excellent police officers work in a good fashion. I saw the bad police officers who mixed it up, and I even mixed up some when I was a rookie and didn't even know any better. The rough ride in the paddy wagon to the jail. I've done that stupid stuff as a rookie. Back when I was 26, 27, 28 years old. My partner would sit up there and laugh about it. I slam on the brakes, and this intoxicated fella come tumbling all the way from the back to the front. Thought that was comical when I didn't know any better. It's kind of like being a child and you do childish things, but when you grow up to be a man, then you put away childish things. That's the way police officers learn how to be good police officers. But they can only learn it when I go all the way back to where I started. When we do what Sir Robert Peel advocated. And that is when the police are the people and the people are the police. Don't fight and argue, create disturbances in the streets with police officers. Because if you do, you're going to lose. Even if you win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later in civil actions, you still lose. And black people, the way for you to put a stop to some of the aggression, discrimination, and racism that's going on in police departments, you join them yourselves. And then once you join and you get that power, then you learn how to adjust your mind and your mentality to the point that you don't misuse and abuse your people too. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. I just want to put it on your mind. Think about it any way you want to. I hope you listen and hear what I'm saying. If you want to pay attention, pay attention. If you don't, well then you go right on out there in that street trying to define your manhood by creating a fight with a police officer or some police officers. And I guarantee you, you're going to lose.
My prayers have all been answered. I finally arrived. My healing that had been delayed has now been realized. No one's in a hurry. No more schedules to keep. I'm enjoying Jesus, just sitting at his feet. If you could see me now, I'm walking streets of gold. If you could see me now, I'm standing tall and whole. If you could see me now, you know I'll see him face to face. If you could only see me now. My prayers have all been answered. I finally arrived. My healing that had been delayed rules to keep. I'm enjoying Jesus, just sitting at his feet. If you could see me now, I'm walking streets of gold. If you could see me now, I'm standing tall and whole. If you could see me now, you know I've seen him face to face. If you could only see me now. Now I had my share of sickness, but nothing can compare what Jesus has in store for me. No language can ever share.